Yep. Good morning, everyone. So, yesterday we learned about some introduction related to OOP language. So, today we will see what are the concept supported. So, as we already learned that JavaScript is not a OOP language, but some features are there. Those OOP features, what are there in JavaScript, we will see, right? So what are the OOP features of JavaScript? In JavaScript, what are the object-oriented features available? First important, so in the OOP concepts, we need to know about JavaScript modules. We need to know about JavaScript modules. What is a module and how a module works? Technically, module is a set of values, functions, and classes. What are classes? We will see now. We will learn about that. Module is a set of values, functions, and classes. Generally, modules are used to build a library for application. Modules are used to build a library for application. What is the purpose of library? A module is used for building library for application. What is the purpose of library is? So library is reusable and comprises of predefined functions which you can implement and customize according to requirements. That is the advantage of library. So in JavaScript, while working with JavaScript, if we want some functions to use from various places, then we can build a library. We call it as module. Actually, what happens is, suppose we generally have some functions. Suppose math related functions. We have some mathematic related functions. We have string related functions. We have like date related functions. So we have some different types of functions like array related functions. So related functions, we have different functions. Then what we do is we want these functions everywhere. In every project, we want them. Then what we do is all math related functions we keep in a module. That means we keep all these functions in a module. Module is nothing but actually module is a JavaScript file. It is a JavaScript file. In this file, we keep all the functions. Like that, for every different set of functions, what we do, we build a module. So we design module for every function. So that means one module for math, one module for string, like that. Generally, if we want to use in a page, we are designing page. In a page, we want to use those functions. Then if they are present in a separate file, generally what we have to do, we have to link all these files. That means we have to link JavaScript file. We have to link all these files. You know, already linking all files can increase the number of requests and the page load time. Then what we have to do is, without linking the files, we must able to access those functions and use. Without linking the files, we must able to access the functions and use. That is possible by module system. How it possible by module system is, what we can do is, we can import all the string functions, from which module? From string module. We can import all of them. That means without linking the file, we can import those functions and we can use them. This is module system. In any library, this is how JavaScript works. Later, if you are using JavaScript in other technologies like Node.js, Angular, React, everywhere same mechanism. We write functions and we import and use those functions. We don't link the files. So without linking the files, we import the files and we use those files. That means we are going to import and we are going to use. That is the mechanism we are going to follow. So generally, in any JavaScript based technology, the functions are used in a module system. So you are learning React or Angular or something else. Everywhere JavaScript works like this. All functions are written in a file. If you want those functions, you have to import and you have to use. Every JavaScript file is considered as a module. In that module, you can have functions, you can have variables, you can have classes. You can use them and implement. But in order to use this module system, means in order to use JavaScript modules, actually, to use JavaScript modules, there must be a module system installed in your project. There must be a module system installed in your project. Actually, there are various module systems like we have common JS. We have like require JS. So we have like UMD. So this is universal module distribution. We have like AMD. We have like asynchronous module distribution like this. So we have like ES module. These are all different module systems. These module systems must be installed in your project in order to use modules. But what is advantage is generally we are currently using JavaScript with which combination? We are using JavaScript with HTML. We are using JavaScript with HTML. Then in that case, if you are using JavaScript in HTML, then so browser have a default module system called ES. It have a default module system called ES module. That is the reason if you are learning JavaScript with browser, means with HTML, you don't need to install any module system. But if you are using JavaScript with other technologies, where we don't use directly in browser, then there you need these module systems like common JS, require JS, different module systems. Currently for React or Angular or for other technologies, they install a module system. That is the reason they can directly use. But in HTML, module system is not required to install because HTML pages run in browser and browser have a module system. So it's important for us to tell the browser to use module system. How to tell the browser to use module system? All these days, what we are doing, we are writing a script. What is the script type? Text slash JavaScript. Now it should be module. Now it should be module. If you write simple script, it will not work. Because by default script is text slash JavaScript. But module systems requires a separate module library. And when you write type as module, then only browser can use this module. Then your modules will work. Let's see how to define, how to create a module. First one, number one is creating module. Creating module is nothing but add a new JS file into project. So every JS file name is used as module name. Every JS file is used as module name. So for example, you created a JS file called home.js. That means what is the module name? Module name is home. Home is the module. Right? That means if you created home.js, so home is module. Right? Whatever file name you given, that file name is used for module. Right? That is module. So let's see how we define. Defining a module is already, we know JavaScript files. So creating a JavaScript file is important. Let's say, so how to build a library. So how to build a library now is go to our project here. In this project, we will create a separate folder by name library. We'll create a library. In that library, we will add modules. That is the reason you might have observed node modules folder is there. In node modules folder, what files will be there? All CSS files, JavaScript files will be there. Even CSS files also considered as modules. Because you remembered we learned SAS. In SAS, we are importing the CSS and we are using it. We learned mixins, we learned import. That means SAS is also using module system. That is the reason any CSS, any JavaScript file is considered as a module technically. They are kept in a separate folder called node modules. Right? Like that, I create one library. In library, I will add a folder by name modules. Now in this modules folder, I will add a new file. I will add a new file by name, suppose home, home.module.js. It's not necessary to give the word module, but traditionally people have a habit. It's not necessary. Generally, every JavaScript file is a module. Extension JS is enough, but people have a habit of giving such suffix, right? So home module. Okay. Now in this, we can write in a module what it can contain. A module can contain variables. It can contain functions. Later it can contain classes. Currently, we already know variables and functions. So we will create a variable. So username is equal to some John, that is the username. And we created a function. Function is suppose hello. This hello function will return a simple string. Simple string is hello and the username. Like this, we are defining. This is a simple function. We are having this. And we have another function, welcome. And what welcome will return? Welcome will return. So welcome to JavaScript modules. That's what it is going to return. So in this module, we have two functions, hello and welcome. Now, anything that you defined in a module are not accessible outside module. They are accessible only inside this module. They are not accessible outside. So outside, hello and welcome are not accessible. They are not accessible. That means next point is here. After creating module, second, configuring members in module. Configuring member is nothing but every module can have functions, variables, and classes. Classes we will see next. Currently, we already know functions and variables. So every module can have functions, variables, and classes. But what is the point here is members in a module, members defined in a module are not accessible outside module. They are not accessible outside module. So you have to mark the functions, as export. You have to mark the functions as export in order to access outside. So you have to mark as export. So in order to access outside module, you want to access outside module, then you have to configure them. So this is basically how we have to define. So every module every module have functions and variables. If anybody asks like, can I export a variable? So actually, you cannot export variable with value. You can export variable that have function expression. If variable is having function expression, you can. What does that means? So that means, for example, we have export function and the function name. Like this, you have to write. If there is a variable called, suppose, some name, some hello. In this, we have a function. Now we cannot directly write anywhere export. Then how to export this function? So this variable hello, we can simply write like this: export hello. Export hello, like this we can define. Means after writing the expression, we can export. But remember, it is possible only if it is having a function. Suppose var x equal to 10, then you write export x. This is in value. You cannot export a value. You can export only a function. You cannot export value. You can export only a function. If a variable have a function expression, then you can export. Otherwise, you cannot. So export is compulsory. If export is not there, then you cannot access outside. Another important point is every function, every module can have one default export. Every module can have one default export. It can have one default export. Default export can be one. What is meant by default export? That means you can write export default function and function name. What is difference between export and default export? Remember, if any one function is defined as default, there cannot be another default. So in a class, how many defaults can be defined? Only one. What is difference between normal export and default export? Normal export uses a mechanism called lazy loading. That means it will load only when it is required, and it will end. That means actually we need to tell when to start, when to stop. But default export uses a mechanism, eager loading. Eager loading means we don't tell when to start and stop. It automatically starts and automatically ends. We don't need a start and stop to define for default. Whereas for functions which are not default, you have to mention start and stop. That means you see here, I will show you a point here. After exporting, next point is, so you can import the functions and use in any page. You can import and use in any page. But how is, we have to use import and you have to define the function name from module name. This is for default. So here the function is default. If function is not default, then import, we have to put a curly brace and function name. And from, we have to define module name. That means this is not a default function. It is not a default export. If it is a default export, you don't need to tell block. What is the meaning of block? Block indicates where to start, where to stop. Without writing the block means you don't need to tell where to start and stop. Automatically it starts and stops. Automatically it is going to start and stop. So that is the difference. And very important is whenever you are defining both, that means in a module we can have both. Then what we have to do? If we have both, then we have to write import. First normal function, after that comma and default function. First default and normal. That means here we have to define another function name. Function name. You can import any number of functions from module name. So module name, like this we need to define. And remember, default must be first and non-default must be last. The order is also important. Just like you have learnt the rest parameters. Rest parameters must be last, right? So this is the function name. Default function must be first. Others must be outside, right? That is the basic modules how we can use. So see now how it works. We created functions, but they are not accessible outside. So what we do, we have to mark export. Here also I need to mark export. If you write any function without export, it can be accessed inside this module anywhere, but it is not accessible outside. Now next, one function can be default. Suppose I keep this function as default. It's not necessary that only first one should be default, anything, but only one can be default. Only one can be default. That means you cannot mention this also default. Only one function can be default. Okay, now our library is ready. We want to use this library. Then what I'm doing, I will create a new folder. JavaScript OOP. In that there is a file, some home index.html. Now in this file, how to use module system is so much different. See, here we have a page. In the page, I will give some modules. Here there is a paragraph. Now what we do is we just write a script. In this script, we have to just import and in the curly brace. So the function name, which one is not default? Hello. Hello is not default. So function name is hello. From which location? From the file name. File is present // library / modules / home.module.js. That is the module name we have to define. Currently, we are importing only hello. This advantage of module system is it is asynchronous. Asynchronous means you don't need to import all the library. You can import only what is required and you can use only what is required. So here now This hello is returning some message. What is hello is a function. That function is returning some message. That message we want to print in paragraph. Then generally earlier what you do, we write body load, on load. Here simply we need to configure document dot query selector paragraph inner HTML. We will call hello, which is a function. And hello function is returning some string that we are printing that. Now you can see it will not work. Why it will not work? Because so many errors will come. Inspect. In the inspect, let's go to the errors. Console. You see, cannot use import statement outside a module. That means it is thinking that this script is not a module. But we have to tell the browser that that script is a module. How we tell? Type as what? Module. Earlier type is text JavaScript. Now it should be module. Now you see it is working. Now I am trying to use in the next line BR. I am trying to use another function called welcome. But that function is not imported. Without importing, how you will use? Any function you want to use, you have to import. You see now it says welcome is not defined. Then we are importing welcome, but welcome is a default name. Default means we cannot write here. I am writing welcome here. I am writing welcome here. It's not working. Why? Because welcome is a default. Default cannot be written in curly brace. Means it cannot be written in block. I will write welcome here. Now it is okay. Because default functions are directly imported. And you can see it is working fine. It is going to access and display. For example, I will go to the library module. Here, I will make hello also default. Hello also default. Then you can see now, and again error will come. Duplicate. Why? Because every function can every module can have only one default. Every module can have only one default, right? That means you cannot have another default. Only one default you should have. This is the module system. Now we are not linking the file. We are just importing the file and using. You can do anything. That means any number of files. Suppose you see in modules, I will add another file, math.module.js. In this math module, I am writing export function. The function name is addition and it is taking a comma b and it is returning a plus b. So we have another export. We have a function. So that is multiplication and it is a comma b. And here we return a into b like this. MUL, something like this. That is enough. Now, these two functions are not default. Anyone is not default. Then how to use them here? If I want to use them here, then from another module, we can import. Import what to import? Addition, comma, another one is MUL from /library/modules/ that is math.module.js. Now here I want to print. So I will add another BR, or you can use binding expression better. And here I will give addition is equal to, we have to call addition, and into that we pass 20 comma 50. And you can see it is working. So we are just using them and configure. So I'm just adding another is, so we have multiplication is equal to plus MUL. So 3 comma 2. Then it is going to return and display. That is a basic mechanism of functions in a module. What is advantage of this is you can use from any project, not only this project. You can access these modules from any project and you can use them. Just you need the virtual path. Now, what is the virtual path of modules? Our server address is this one, right? In that server address, we have a folder called library. In that library, we have a folder called modules. In that modules, you see these two modules are there. We have these two modules. That means now you give this path to anybody. They can import from this location and they can use. That is the basic. So we can build libraries which can be imported and used across projects. Without linking the files, we are accessing them. Actually, we have script files, script source. Now through a module system, we can handle. At high level, JavaScript modules are used like this. JavaScript module systems are used in this way, right? This is one example. The process I will give you as example. In the example, first point is add a new folder library and add subfolder modules and add following files into modules. One is home.module.js. In that, I will give that code. Home.module.js. Another one is math.module.js. I will give these two. Okay, next. What we need to do is number 4. Yeah. So add a new HTML page and import modules. Anywhere some index.html, and we can import the modules and we can use them. This is import. That's how we can manage. Here, very important, the script type must be module. And another important, whether you are giving default import, default export or not. Based on that, import will be there. Make sure that the library path is correct. So you have to define the files in the same way. And here, later I will show you how other events and all work. Right? Now, first thing is we created module, we created functions in module, and we are accessing them. Right? This is the first basic point. And this you will use everywhere in future. That means you are learning Angular, React, Vue, any JavaScript based technology. They will provide a functions library. That functions library we have to import and we have to use it. We don't link files. We just import and use them. So here, another very important point is when you are importing and using, generally in module, not only functions and variables, we have the concept of class. We use classes. Generally, what is a class and what is the concept of class? Actually, in computer programming, class is a template. Class is a program template. We call class as a program template. Template means what? A template provides sample data and logic. It provides sample data and logic, which you can implement and customize according to requirements. It will provide some sample data and logic, which you can import and customize according to your requirements, and you can use it. That is the concept of templates. So class is a program template. Class is a program template. What happens is in module system, we have more divisions actually. Suppose I will give here some options like this. Suppose you see, we are creating a module in that we are having functions, math functions, string functions, date functions, array functions. For every set of functions, we are creating a module. Then how many modules? So many modules, 4 or 5 modules. In every module, separate functions are. Now what you can do is, all these functions you can categorize. All these functions you can categorize like this. What you can do is, you can create a class. You can create a class. And what is that class? Suppose we can define a class called math. In that math class, you can keep all math functions. Math related functions you can keep in that. You can create another class called string functions in that. You can create another class date functions inside. We can create array class in this. And all these classes can be in one module. This is more better. Earlier you are having how many modules? 4. Now you have only one module. In that module, multiple classes. We can import math class. Then all math functions can be accessed. This enables code reusability, code separation. We can reuse the code. We can separate the code. Actually, what is the main intention of OOP concept? So generally, history, I will tell you a basic here. Actually, so I will show you evolution of OOP. Alan K introduced the concept of object into computer programming in early 1960s. In early 1960s, Alan Kay introduced the concept of object into computer programming. He developed the concept called object. What is object? Already we learned. Object keeps all related data and logic together, right? After that, so Johann Ole and Christian Nygaard. So these two people, developed 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 object-oriented programming. They developed object-oriented programming in 1967. In 1967, with a language called Simula. Simula is a language. Simula is simulation systems. With that language, they developed the concept of OOP. What is the main purpose of OOP? OOP, OOP purpose was to make code reusable. So reusable. It is the main concept. Without rewriting the code, we must able to reuse the code. That is the main concept of OOP, the main purpose of OOP. If anybody asked the question like, what is the main purpose of OOP? So the main purpose of OOP is code reusability. The main concept of OOP is code reusability. The main concept to make the code reusable without rewriting the code. After that, what happened is in 1970s, Frege introduced code separation with a framework called MVC. He developed a framework called MVC. So MVC is actually model view controller. He developed a framework called MVC, model view controller. And that MVC framework introduced code separation. Earlier it was code reusability. After that, code separation. Code separation language was Smalltalk. Smalltalk is the language. First code reusability, after that code separation. After that, so in 1970s only, C++ came. After that, in 1990s, Java came. After that, in 2003, so this C# came, which are currently popular OOP languages. The current popular OOP languages in the world, we have C++, Java, and C#. These are the most trending OOP languages in the current software technologies. So OOP concept was evolved like this. Now, what these people done is, when they developed the object-oriented programming, the main concept was reusability. How to reuse is actually data is configured. Data and logic actually. Data and logic is configured in a class. Data and logic is configured in a class. So which is known as entity. we call it as entity. That means what happens is all the data and logic is present in a class, and we call that class as what? Entity. We call it as an entity. Entity is nothing but any business requirement is called entity. Business related any requirement, we call it as an entity. So generally what happens is all the business related data and logic is kept in a class. Now how to access it? So you can access the data and logic from any location by using instance of class which is called as object for class. If I want to use the same logic from anywhere, then you just create an object for that. Through that object you can access. I will tell you a simple point here. Means how they developed. Actually, as I told you, Johann Ole Christian Nygaard, these people were working on simulation systems. They're working on simulation system. Simulation system means in a computer, generally simulation system is nothing but in a computer, there will be several processors. Generally, our computer have one processor. But in a computer here, they have so many processors. This is, we have supercomputers. We have mini mainframe computers. In those computers, millions of processors are present. Then how the simulation system works? Actually, what is the problem they were facing is, in one processor, they written logic and they want same logic another place. They have to write again. That is the problem they were facing. They have to rewrite the logic. Now, what the solution they found? They can keep all the logic at one place. And they call it as, we call this as logical entity. That means technically we call it as what? Technically we call it as class. Now what we can do is, we want to access from any location, then we can create an object for that class. Through that object, we can access the members of that class. So anywhere we want that, then we need to create an object for that class. Through that object, we can access the members. So without rewriting, we can reuse. This is the mechanism they invented with a concept called simulation system. It was the first language similar. People who don't know all this, when we ask what is the first OOP language, they tell C++. Because they know from C++, right? All majority of our new people, they know from C++ only. They don't know earlier. That's the reason their knowledge is up to C++ only. They think that C++ is only OOP language. Beginning, first OOP language. It is not first. So before C++, small talk. Before small talk, similar. So many are there. So actually OOP concepts introduced by similar, first OOP language. After that, this actually small talk I told you, it introduced a concept called MVC. That MVC is used even today in all technologies. Java, .NET, PHP, Python, everybody uses that MVC. And it is invented in 1970. Java uses MVC by name Spring. Java have a concept called Spring. .NET uses by name ASP.NET MVC. PHP uses by name Cake PHP Code Igniter. Python uses by name Django. They are all MVC and they are not new. They are very old frameworks, right? Actually, MVC is a very old framework. Even today we are using it. So this is the basic evolution. Means what is the concept of class? To keep all your related data and logic together so that we can reuse it without rewriting it. That's the concept. So this is the main intention. Then how to define a class? Configuring class. So you can configure class in two ways. Number one is class declaration. Second one is class expression. Same like function. Already I explained function have function declaration, function expression. Function have function declaration and function expression. What is difference? I already explained the difference. Function expression means what? A function expression can change according to the situation. That means in one memory, different functionalities can be handled. That already I explained. Generally, class also same. That means how syntax declaration, how declaration is nothing but we use the word class and class name and its members. We write like this. We have another syntax that is expression. Expression is how we define var and class name is equal to class and members. The same thing I explained in function also. What is difference? What is difference between declaration and expression? In declaration, the memory is allocated for class, and in that memory, some set of functions are handled. And the memory allocated for the class, it will work only for that class. But in second place, in expression, memory allocated for class, but in that memory, different classes can be assigned later. Currently, it is initialized with a class. Later, you can assign any another class. That's what we learned in function also. Currently initialized with a function, but later can be assigned with different functions. I told you function declaration and function expression. The same thing happened for class also. Right now, what are the members in class? Next important class members. Every JavaScript class can have only following members. Only following class members. What are the class members? One is, it can be a property, it can be accessor, it can be method, or it can be constructor. Only four. Others are not allowed. Only these can be class members. You can have a property or an accessor or a method or a construct. Only these. So if anybody asks like in interviews, they ask like, can we define variable as class member? Can we define variable as class member? No. You cannot define variable as class member because class member can be either a property or an accessor or a method or a constructor. Only this can be there. Variable cannot be a class member. For example, here first, suppose I am defining, first let's learn about class. So in this, I am configuring. Later we will write in module. First we will learn about it. I am writing class and class name product. In that var x equal to 10, it's not allowed. Variable cannot be a class member. Variable I am writing outside the class. It's okay. Variable inside the class as the class member, not allowed. You see, it says a constructor or a method or an accessor or a property. Only these are allowed. Others are not allowed. But here, one interesting question is there. In interviews, they show like this. In interviews, they show like this. We have print. Print is a method. In that a variable is there. It's working. Now, is a variable allowed in class? It is allowed. A variable is allowed in class, but it is not allowed as class member. What is meant by class member? Directly the member in class. Currently, is this X member of class? It is not member of class. It is member of print. Print. Class member means what? Directly the member of class. Right? That means it depends on how he asks you question. If interviewer asks that, can we define a variable in class? Can we define a variable in class? Yes, but not as class member, right? We can define a variable in class, but not as class member. Now the question is, why variable cannot be a class member? Why variable cannot be class member? What can be the reason? Why variable cannot be a class member? Why variable is not allowed in a class? The reason for this is variables are immutable. Variables are immutable, and a class can have only mutable members. Mutable means they can change according to situation. They can change according to situation. Variables cannot change according to situation. They are fixed. For example, I will tell you here what is difference between variable and properties. Now we will see them. Actually, suppose I will ask you a simple question here. Suppose we have a variable, so var price. What I want is, I want price in such a way that once it is initialized, it should not allow to assign any value. That means we don't want price to be changed. Then how you will declare? We don't want price to be changed. Then how you will configure? That means price is mentioned with one value. After that, it should not allow to change. Then how you will configure price? How you will configure price? Can I use const price is equal to 45,000. Now into price, can I pull some value? Not possible. That means once it is initialized, you cannot assign. Okay, that's good. If I want to assign, we should declare with var or let. What var or let will allow? Var or let will allow to assign a value. If you don't want to allow to assign, then we have to use const. Okay. Now, for people whose role is admin, it should allow to assign. And people without admin role cannot assign. Then how? Then which keyword I should use? For some people, it should allow to assign. For some people, it should not allow to assign. Then which keyword I can use? Var or let or const? Const means for everybody, it is not assignable. Let means for everybody, it is assignable. For few people, it should be not assignable. For few people, it should be assignable. It's not possible. It's not possible because variable cannot change the state. That means, can I declare a variable with const and later can I declare var? It's not allowed because already we learned that const will not allow shadowing. Shadowing means redefining. It's not allowed. This is the problem with variables. So variables are what? Immutable. Their state cannot change. That is possible for properties. So first in the class, we will see what is a property. Property is nothing but it is a class member where you can store a value. Where you can store a value. A property is mutable. It can change structure according to state and situation. According to state and situation. So property is mutable. It can change structure according to state and situation. And important here is actually property can handle any type of data. Any type of data. That means it can be primitive or it can be non-primitive. Any type of data it can handle. Properties can handle any type of data. It is a primitive type or a non-primitive. It can manage any type of data. And generally, so syntax, how we define is a class name. We have to define property name is equal to some value. That's it. Generally, in other programming languages, the property names have access modifiers and all, like public, private, and all. But in JavaScript, we don't have anything. Just simply property name and value. Just like in object, key and value. How the properties are accessible? You can access property of class by using property of class outside class by using class instance. By using class instance, you can access. That means where obj is equal to new class name and obj dot property name, you can access the property. So you can access property. You can access property inside class by using this keyword. Same like object. If you want to access a key inside object, we use this keyword. And same we have to use here. So you can access the class members within the class by using this. Outside the class by using instance. Actually, how the class is created and its members. Let's see here. Suppose we have class. In that we have name is equal to some name. We have price is equal to some number. We have stock is equal to some boolean. We have cities is equal to array. We can store any kind of data. Rating is equal to object. Object, it have rate as 4.2. Count as some 4,200. Now, how to access the members of class? We have to create a object. For which class? Product. For that, we need to allocate memory by using new. New is memory allocation operator. Dynamic memory allocation operator. It allocates memory. Memory for which class? Product. So, and important, actually, this is enough. But what many technologies will tell is you have to use a parenthesis. Currently in JavaScript, we don't need it, but in other technologies, they need a parenthesis. Actually, this parenthesis refers to constructor. Currently, we don't have a constructor, so no need that. Later, we will see constructor, empty. Now, through TV, you can access all. Suppose document.write, we want to print all details. Name is equal to tv.name, means with reference of object. Similarly, price is equal to, so tv.price. And similarly, we have stock is equal to, so tv.stock is equal to true. Then we will print as available, question mark, available, otherwise out of stock. In the next line, we have like cities is equal to, we have TV dot cities. That is an array. Array can print directly string like. Okay. In the next line, rating. So we have TV dot rating dot rate. In that TV dot here dot TV dot rating dot count. Like this we can define. So we can access the members of class by using instance of class. And when I run this, you can see it is working fine. All the details it is displaying. And properties will allow to modify. For example, you see here, it is printing. Suppose we are adding TV dot price is equal to prompt. Prompt, I will say enter price. And you see when I run, it will ask enter price. Price is some 60,000. It will take it. Right? So we can create an object. Through that object, we can access. I will show you how all the reusability works, right? How this all concept works. First, what is the difference between property and variable? Generally, we can do that in object also same. Object also can have key and value. But what is speciality about properties? Properties are mutable. They can change the behavior according to situation. Who changes the behavior? I will show you. If anybody asked like, prove this point, that variables are immutable, properties are mutable, prove that point. How we can prove the point that properties are mutable? I will show you. That is possible by using accessors. Accessors are nothing but actually every class property can be handled using accessors. Actually, accessor controls the read and write operations on a property. We can control the read and write operations on a property. So there are two accessors. One is getter, another one is setter. Getter is defined with get and setter is defined with set. Getter is to read value and setter is to set value. Set value is assign value. So what we can do is, by using accessor, we can control the properties. They can change the behavior of property according to situation. That's what actually accessors. They can control the behavior by using that, right? That's what they can do. Now, generally, so how this works, that means how it is going to work. So how it is going to manage and how it is going to work is, let's see what getter responsibility to return value, read. Setter responsibility to take your value and store. So that means actually we have get and alias name. We use alias name. What getter can do? It should return a value. What setter will do is, setter have a alias name and new value. It will take new value. it can access property name, and into that you can put the new value. And that is how setter works. So getter, what is alias name means? The name which maps to a property, but it is not directly the property. That means it refers to a property. Alias name refers to a property. It works for a property. I will show you that how we can control this. For example, see now here, I will give the simple functionality. Suppose we have a class called product. In that we have a property underscore product name. Underscore is to tell that it requires further implementation. That is just a tradition you can give. Now see, everybody can read product name, but everybody cannot assign. That means everybody cannot store product name. Product name can be stored only by the people whose role is admin. That is our condition. Then see here, to read value from this property and to write into that property, we will use accessors. That means we will not allow anybody to directly work with property. We will use accessors. Accessors are alias. That means how? We will create a get accessor product name. It returns this dot underscore product name. So that means this is an alias name for product name. That means by using this name, you are accessing the value which is stored in this product name property. We are not directly using the property. We are handling the property using a alias name. That is accessor. Another accessor is set product name. It will take new name and it will set this dot underscore product name is equal to what? New name. Currently, anybody can read, anybody can write. But what we will do here above, we will take username from a prompt. We will say enter name. Okay. We will take role and prompt and we will say enter your role. Role can be like admin. All role can be like customer, like that. Now I am asking, so product name, prompt, I am saying enter product name. Okay, these three details he will enter. But depending on his role, we will decide whether to store that product name or not. Product name he will enter, but he can store it or not, we will decide. That means now this setter collect the value and store that value in product name. This can be done by whom? Only admin. Then we write a condition. If role is equal to what? Admin. If role is equal to admin A uppercase something, then only do this. Otherwise, you put a message document.write, put a message hello, that username, your role. What is the role? Role is whatever role is not authorized to set product name. That is the message we are giving. If role is admin, it will store. If not, it will not allow. Right? So, okay. Now what we will do here, we will create an object for this class, let. obj is equal to new class. Class name is what? Product. And obj dot product name is equal to whatever product name they entered in prompt, we will assign. That means product name we will assign. That means now what happens is actually whatever product name you entered, it has to be stored inside this product name. But this is a setter. Na? Then what will do is it will go to that setter. In the setter, it will take the name you entered, but first it will verify your role is matching or not. If your role is matching, then only this name will be assigned to product name. If not matching, then it will display this message. It is going to display that message, right? That is how it is going to work. That is what actually it is going to handle. So whenever you enter any name, this name is taken, that name is taken, and it will not directly store that name. What it will do, it will send to whom? Setter. What setter will do? It will take the name, it will verify, is it admin or not? If it is not admin, then it will not allow to store. That's it. Now we need to print if it is stored. That means if product name is defined, then print it. If it is not defined, don't print it. If it is not defined, this will print. If it is defined, print it. How to verify product name is defined or not? We have to use if obj dot, what is it? Product name. This indicates that if it is defined. If it is defined, print it. Document dot write. We will say here product name. Product name is equal to, what is the product name? How to access the product name? By using getter. Na? Getter is what? Obj dot what? Product name. This is getter. Getter is reading and setter is assigning. Right? That is reading and assigning. That's what we need to configure. Okay, that's running. Now let's run this and see. And you can see now it is asking enter name. I entered some name. It is asking role. Role is customer. Product name is some Nike casuals. And enter. Then it says your role customer is not authorized to set product name. Okay, now I will enter name. I enter admin as role and I entered some Samsung TV and it is stored. If role is not admin, it will not store. That means for one user, it is working as read. For another user, it is working as read write. That means for one user, it is allowing to store. For another user, it is not allowing to store. Variable cannot be like that. Variable you declare with a constant, always constant. You declare with let or var, always assignable. They can't change. Property can change. That means in one situation, it works like a constant. In another situation, it works like a var or let. It can change according to the situation. That is what actually the concept of accessors. Properties are mutable. Variables are immutable. And properties can be controlled by whom? They are controlled by accessors. We can control the read and write operations. So everybody should not able to read. Everybody should not able to write. We can change. That's common in websites. For example, you visit any bikes, cars, websites, and you want a price for that bike or car. They don't show the price until or unless you enter contact details. That means once you entered contact details, you verified your OTP, then they will show you price. For others, it is not accessible. Right? You cannot view, we cannot store until or unless we have the permission. That you can control by using this. This is an example for accessors. That's how generally we can control the accessors and work. So class can have 4 members. In that we have seen property, another one access. Now class can have methods and class can have constructor. What are those? We will see in next session. Right? In the next session, we will finish the concept of OOP because it is not OOP language. Only 2-3 features are there for OOP. Those we have to learn. Once we know that, then we can start learning about events, other events. Till now, we used only some events. So like what? On click, on change, like that. We need to know all events, different events, what are there, how to use them. That we'll see in next session. Okay, Monday will continue, right?